AEW Dynamite, ladies and gentlemen, Saturday, and let me just jump into this. That is how you build up a stable AEW. Most of the time, not all of the time, I gotta give AEW credit for this. When they realize they've messed up on something, most of the time they do something to correct it. And they had messed up on the Dark Order time in and time out, and they corrected it tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Like, that is what I've been waiting for from Brodie Lee and the Dark Order. We are gonna hop into that later, but first we're gonna jump into this review. Leave a like, ladies and gentlemen, on this YouTube channel, on this YouTube video, and feel free to follow me on Twitter at 2sweetpod and at OMGCoreyB. So, first up, we had the Private Party versus FTR. Man, I'm watching the NBA playoffs and I'm like, get over it, get over it, man. And like, it starts up 5:20 or so, 5:30 or so, and I'm like, okay, let's do this. So, Private Party versus FTR. This was a fantastic matchup. Great pace to start. It really picked up when Isaiah got the hot tag, and I absolutely love this matchup. Very quick matchup to get us going at the start of the show. FTR picked up the victory. I don't have a problem with that result at all. FTR should have won. Private Party looked good in defeat. Next up, we had MJF, and he was here to talk about Jon Moxley. Of course, I absolutely love what MJF has been going on with, downing Jon Moxley left and right. He talked about how he wanted to play with his kids. You know, he has to worry about Jon Moxley because he wants to play with his kids one day. This was absolutely great. We had the attorney talking about the paradigm shift ban, and we'll see if we will have that stipulation for this matchup. And I'm pumped for this, man. At All Out, MJF versus Jon Moxley. It is gonna be fun. Next up, we had the Lucha Bros and with the Butcher and Blade versus QT Marshall and Dustin and the Jungle Express. Like, I really do not like these 8-man, 10-man tags. Like, it tends to get really sloppy, and this one got really sloppy. It turned into a bunch of spots, spot after spot after spot after spot. And at some point, it's just not interesting when you have spot after spot after spot. QT Marshall, Dustin, and the Jungle Express picked up the victory after we had Pentagon and Blade getting into it, and that brought out Eddie Kingston. Now, this was the story. This was the most interesting thing about the match, about the segment. He talked some sense into the Lucha Bros, into Butcher and the Blade, went to each of them and talked about how great they were. And I'm interested here. Is this going to be a stable? Is Eddie Kingston going to be the head? The guy can talk with the best of them in wrestling today. He could be the best. If he was a manager, he could be the best of them today. So I'm very interested to see how it turns out. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, we had Britt Baker with Penelope Ford, and she asked for help. She needs some help with Big Swole. We'll see how that turns out. Penelope Ford versus Big Swole. So after that, we had the Orange Cassidy interview. It was quickly interrupted by Chris Jericho, and I'm like, okay, Jericho's out here. What's gonna happen here? What's he gonna say? And Jericho quickly brings up that he wants a rubber match, a third match with Orange Cassidy, and it's gonna be, he proposes a Mimosa Mayhem match, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And it goes on to say that you can win by pinfall, submission, or you can, the person who throws their opponent into 80 cases of orange juice mixed with bubbly wins. Like, and when I heard that, and look, I'm gonna give it a chance. I mean, in wrestling, I always give things a chance to work out. But when I heard it, sometimes you just know stuff. And the first thing I said was, did Vince Russo come up with this? You can win the match by throwing your opponent into a tank of orange bubbly? Like, who thought that was gonna be a great idea? Was Chris Jericho back there pushing for this? Because it's dumb. Like, okay, if you want to have... it's the third match. You don't want the best friends getting in. You don't want the inner circle getting involved, so let's do a cage match. I'm fine with that. The feud has, or either this, the feud has gotten so intense. Let's do a first blood match. I'm with that. But I get that Jericho has the bubbly. I get that Orange Cassidy has orange juice, but you can win by throwing them into a tank of orange bubbly? Like, what are we doing here, man? I did not like that whatsoever, but that is the match that's gonna go down at All Out. But moving on from there, we have the Elite versus the Dark Order, and at the very least, they let the Dark Order get in some offense here. A lot of offense, man. A little bit too much for my taste, but the Elite picks up the victory. And just a match that went too long in my estimation, and that is a running theme with the Young Bucks. Man, it's almost, not all, but almost every match they're in, it just seems like, whether that be Dynamite or pay-per-view, it just feels like the match goes too long for my liking. That's just me. Moving on, we had a Darby Allin squash, and let me tell you about what I did not like about this. Darby Allin is a small guy, and you cannot sell me on a Darby Allin squash when the guy is so much bigger than Darby Allin. Look, I'm not the one to talk about size in wrestling. Forgive my phone there, but I'm not the one to talk about size in wrestling, man. But at the end of the day, like, I'm not trying to see the squashes are for big guys. And like, we have Darby Allin, who's basically I don't want to say cruiserweight, but he's a small guy. You can't have him, like, a squash doesn't do anything for me. But nevertheless, he picks up the win. The story was Taz after the match, and he talks about Darby Allin, and we have Ricky Starks come down in Darby Allin face paint, and he did an absolutely great job here. I absolutely love what they had going on with Ricky Starks. We have the Brian Cage attack from behind, and Starks stands over Darby Allin, and I am loving this feud. Like, give me more. Give me more of Ricky Starks versus Darby Allin. Yes, I am feeling this feud. I love it. Next up, we had Matt Hardy. He just beat the hell out of Sammy Guevara in the commercial break. That led on into, after they got out of commercial break, he was tearing them apart, and the referees got involved. I am loving this. Is another feud that's sneaky and doesn't get a whole lot of time, but one that I am liking. Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara. Give me more of it. I love it. Moving on, we had the surprise. Well, not the surprise of the night. The I would say in the list, this will fall second in surprises of the night. Thunder Rosa, the NWA Women's Champion. Look, I absolutely love Thunder Rosa, man. And it's crazy, man. Before Brian Cage debuted, I said to myself, man, I miss seeing Brian Cage every week, man. And then the dude debuts in AEW. And just last week, I was saying, man, I miss watching Thunder Rosa on NWA every week, and she debuts on AEW. Like, I don't think she signed with AEW because she's still the NWA Women's Champion, but nevertheless, it is going to be a fantastic match. Challenge Sheeta at All Out. If you don't know anything about Thunder Rosa, go look her up. She is phenomenal, man, and I say she's phenomenal because I've been following her since Lucha Underground. And ever since then, I've been amazed by what she can do in the ring. But even more, characters are a lost art in wrestling, and she is a good character in wrestling. She can cut a good promo. She can get you invested into a match. And in a couple of minutes, she got everyone invested into that match with Cheetah at All Out. I cannot wait. Moving on, we had the Women's Cup Tag Team Cup Finals, and it was Diamante and Evilise versus the Nightmare Sisters. And you know what? Everybody said, the Nightmare Sisters are just gonna win this, and everybody was wrong. Diamante and Evilise gets the victory. People thought that it was set up for either the Nightmare Sisters to win or for there to be a heel turn, and there was neither. People were wrong here. Like, I gotta say that I wish more of the cup or all of the cup would have been on AEW Dynamite. That's just me. But nevertheless, Diamante and Evilise picks up the victory. So moving on to the surprise of the night, we have Cody, we have Brodie Lee, and of course I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, Brodie Lee's legit challenger here. Of course I'm thinking Cody's gonna pick up the victory, but what we got was an extended squash match, ladies and gentlemen. What we got was the John Cena versus Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, for lack of a better comparison. That's what it was. Brock Lesnar ran through John Cena, and you never saw that coming. Brodie Lee ran through Cody Rhodes, and you never saw it coming. Sometimes wrestling legit surprises you, and this was one of these moments. It legit shocked me. Like, it got me out of my chair when that 3 count went down. And Brodie Lee is the TNT champion, brand new champion. And I gotta say that I am beyond shocked, man. Like, I absolutely loved everything about this. The stretcher bit was a bit much for me, but what happened after it, I absolutely loved. The Dark Order tears apart Arn Anderson and beats down Cody Rhodes some more. And we have Anna Jay taking out Brandy Rhodes as well. This is what I said at the beginning of the video. This is how you bring back a stable. Like, the Dark Order was dead and gone to me, but now they are back. But what I'm worried about is this. I'm always looking ahead. We got All Out coming up, and I sincerely hope that this is not a way for Cody Rhodes to just get back the title. Like, this is just something, build up the Dark Order so we can get the title back on Cody Rhodes, because that would destroy Brodie Lee, that would destroy the Dark Order. I hope that we have a long Brodie Lee run to that's coming up, and I'm invested into the Dark Order. I cannot wait to see what happens going forward. Let me know your thoughts, whether that be on Twitter at 2SweetPod or at OMGCoreyB, or in the YouTube comments. The Dark Order is